In this video, I'm going to be trying to break down the differences between ser and estar in Spanish. If you've been learning Spanish for any time at all, you probably have been really confused by this. So I'm going to try to do my best to make it as understandable as possible. These are the things that made it so much easier for me to understand ser and estar, and it's super important in Spanish that you get this right. I do want to say, though, that you shouldn't be stressing out if you just get it wrong when you're talking in Spanish. There have been so many instances where I have said está instead of es, or estoy instead of soy, or vice versa. The worst thing that can happen is either I just realized after I said the thing that I said it wrong, or maybe the native speaker will just be like, S, just to correct you real quick. It's not a big deal, and a native speaker is still going to be able to understand you. So don't stress yourself out over getting it perfectly right or wrong. Now let's get into some examples and an overall explanation of what ser and estar is and when and when not to use it. Obviously, ser and estar, I imagine you know by now, is how we say to be. This is basically in English when you say am, is, was, were, are, all of those things, right? But in Spanish, it can either be ser or estar. Now, I'm not going to go over the conjugation in this video. That's something that you can easily Google, because I don't know if you're working on the past tense, the present tense, the future, whatever, but either way, it doesn't matter in what tense you're talking in, it's still going to be the same use that is triggered depending on the situation. So ser, you'll notice, you've probably heard this before, but it's for permanent things, and estar is going to be explained a lot as something that's temporary. What I like to think of is ser is what something is, whereas estar is like how you're feeling or where something is. That's the most basic explanation I can give of it. I'm going to dive in with examples of each point that I've got here, and you can easily take a screenshot of this or write these in your notes, because these are the most common uses of each one. And if you use this guide, then it should be pretty easy to know which one is going to be triggered in a certain situation. So first up, we've got time and date. So whenever you say, it is 2 o'clock, then it's just going to be son las dos, and you're using ser. You're not going to say estar, because why? You might say, but the time of day is, it's temporary. It's going to change. Like if it's 2 o'clock now, in a minute it's going to be 2:01. Yes, but remember that ser is describing what something is. The time is what it is. It is 2 o'clock. You can't change that. Nothing that you do is going to change the fact that it's 2 o'clock. So it is what it is. If you're talking about where you're from, it's like, I am from Georgia. Soy de Georgia. Nothing is going to change the fact that I am from Georgia. It's what I am, is what something is. So remember that ser is always for describing things. It's describing what something is. It's describing who someone is. It describes what you do. Like if you say, I am a doctor, soy doctor. If you were to say what something is made of, it is plastic, it would be es de plástico. You're also going to use it when you're talking about if something is yours or not, if it is your possession. If I say this is my phone, it would be es mi teléfono. If I were to say it's my house, it would be es mi casa. If you're talking about relationships, he is my dad, it would be él es mi padre, because he is your dad is what something is. It's describing that he is my dad. It's not something temporary. It's not an emotion, or it's not about me feeling like he's my dad. He's going to be my dad whether I like it or not. It is what something is. I'll get into the last point here for ser in a second. I want to go over to estar now, because think of estar as talking about something that's how you feel. It's a state of being. So if I'm going to say I am happy, it would be estoy feliz. Now, here's an important thing, and this is honestly what helped it click for me when I was trying to really get better at ser and estar. I'm saying I am happy, but I'm happy right now. You don't know if I'm going to be sad 5 minutes from now. It's an emotion. It's a state of being. I'm not describing myself. I'm just saying how I am in the moment. But if I were to say I am a happy person, now we're describing what type of person I am. We're describing what something is or who someone is. We're describing that I am a person that is happy. And this would be soy una persona feliz. So here we're using estar, here we're using ser. So you can kind of take an example here. If you were to say she is tired versus he is tall, notice here we're talking about how someone is in the moment. So it would be estar, it would be está cansada. She is tired, está cansada. He is tall, we're describing how someone is. He is tall. That's what he is. So that's not going to change. It's something that's permanent. So it would be es alto. As simple as that. Whenever you're talking about saying things like I am doing something or I am trying, basically when a verb ends in ing, you're always going to use estar for that no matter what. If you say I am teaching, which is what I'm doing right now, it would be estoy enseñando. If you were to say we are talking, it would be estamos hablando. And you just simply have to learn, I am here is estoy, we are is estamos in this case, and you just have to learn how to put the following verb with the ing ending, which is pretty straightforward to do. That's called the present progressive, by the way. Now, the last point here for this video is when you're talking about a physical location for estar, where something is. If you're just like, where is it? It would be ¿dónde está? If you were to say the store is there, it would be la tienda está ahí. You've probably learned that already. Now, there is a time for location where you will use ser, but it's only when you're talking about where an event is taking place. If I were to say the meeting is going to be in the office, this would be la reunión va a ser, going to be, en la oficina. And we're using ser in this instance. If I were to ask, is the concert in the stadium? I would say, es el concierto en el estadio. And I would use es here and not estar, even though it's here in these instances, I'm talking about a location. Technically, I'm talking about where something is. We're talking about an event because it is what it is. The concert is an event that is taking place at the stadium, and the meeting is going to be in the office. It's just describing where something is going to be taking place. But for all other instances, and when in doubt in these instances, honestly, don't worry too much about using ser. This is just if you want to be perfect, and you're going to notice that people use ser in these instances, but pretty much 90% of the time when you're talking about location, I'm at the desk. That's estar. He is at the store right now, or we are in a classroom. That's going to be estar always when you're just talking about location or where something is, not where an event is going to be taking place. Hopefully you got a lot out of this video. Please subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this, and comment below any Spanish questions you have so I can hopefully make a video on it in the future. And if you want to learn how I was able to learn and become fluent in Spanish in less than a year, and how you can be having real, actual conversations with native speakers just a few months from now, I put together a completely free training that you can watch now. All you've got to do is click on the link in the description to save your spot, and you can watch that now. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.